Hello and welcome. Thanks for watching my video presentation. My name is Verónica Moscoso. I am an author and I write easy readers for Spanish learners. And I want to start with an anecdote, something that recently happened. So occasionally I buy other easy readers by other authors to, learn from them, see new trends, just to see what's going on. And one day I had one of these books on my desk and my daughter was about to grab the book to read it, and I went like, no. And I was a little shocked of my quick reaction of no, and she was surprised too, because what I always want is for her to learn Spanish. You can probably hear an accent. I am originally from Ecuador, but I live in California. Been living in California for more than 20 years. My daughter is 10 years old and she doesn't go to a bilingual school. There's no Spanish classes in her school. So of course I want her to be bilingual. So I speak to her in Spanish and she replies in English. And when she replies in Spanish, it's music to my ears. And if she's interested in reading a book in Spanish, oh my God, that is I'm the happiest mom. So why didn't I want her to read that book? Was this book age appropriate? Yes. Was this an easy reader? Yes. Why did I say no? The reason is because this book was written in really awkward language. It was written in awkward Spanish. It was not written in conversational Spanish. So just to give you just one example, this book had a sentence, estoy miserable. That is in English, I am miserable. And I feel miserable, I am miserable is something that is very common in English language. And the author of this book was an English native speaker, not a Spanish native speaker. So obviously for the author, this I am miserable is something so common for his students if he's teaching in the United States. And miserable and miserable are cognates. So, I'm sure the author thought it's perfect. They're cognates. It's going to be very easy for the student to understand this sentence. This was a book for first level. But the thing is that even though they are cognates, miserable is not a word that is commonly used, and especially not with that connotation. So for example, if I ask my mom, what does miserable mean? Miserable has the connotation of someone that is stingy. Another connotation is, I've heard, for example, ese hombre es un miserable, and that means that man is evil, that man is mean. So miserable has this other connotation. And also there's the word miseria, vive en la miseria, he lives in poverty. What the author was trying to convey was, estoy miserable, I am very sad. I can't imagine someone young saying estoy miserable instead of saying estoy triste, and the high frequency word is triste. And if you want to say that it's very sad, then you say muy triste, So that is the word that I would have chosen. The thing is that I am not talking about a book that has one typo or one grammar mistake or one awkward sentence. I'm talking about a book that is written in that style from beginning to end. It's awkward sentence after awkward sentence. And when a native speaker reads a book like this, the first thing that comes to mind, the first thing that we say is nadie habla así, which means nobody speaks that way. I haven't read all the easy readers that are out there, but I've read enough easy readers to realize that too many are written in an awkward Spanish. And why is that? It's probably because a lot of these authors speak Spanish as a second language. And it shows. This book, this particular book that I'm talking about, it's very popular. I believe it, thousands and thousands of students read this book. And I think by reading this book, they learn bad habits. Because just using the example that I was using before, if my daughter goes and talks with her aunt or her cousins in Ecuador, and she says things like, estoy miserable, or estás miserable, they are going to think, what do you mean? They are not going to understand her. I know that some people would say, oh, but it's comprehensible, so it doesn't really matter if it's awkward. But I disagree, and I want the people that think that way to put themselves in my shoes. It's like, what if your first language, it can be English, French, Italian, I don't know. What if you read a book written in your native language, a book for students, and you read it and you're like, nobody speaks this way. And I am teaching with these texts to my students, but nobody speaks this way. This is really awkward. It's not the only one. There are many books out there, and they are read in schools. But I want to make the point that I don't blame the teachers that buy these books, because if Spanish is the second language of these teachers, probably the awkward language is not noticeable. When I was studying English and when I was teaching English, I used these texts and I trusted that they were correct. And also, just another anecdote, one time I was listening in the radio about all this fake news during the last election, and they were saying that these fake news were written by people in, I think it was Macedonia. In the radio, they were talking about how awkward the English used was. They read an example of this awkward English, and honestly, if I had read that awkward English in something printed out, I wouldn't have noticed, because English is my second language. So I understand that teachers who have Spanish as a second language, or that are teaching a second language, not necessarily would understand if it's awkward or not, But I also think that it's time that we discuss this and that we talk about this, because we want students to learn conversational Spanish, and if they are learning a language, they can learn a language that is going to be useful for them. And we don't want them to learn bad habits. I think that if my daughter will read that, because she's a native English speaker, if she'll listen to I am miserable, estoy miserable, she will make the connection, and she will be like, this is the way you talk, and this is so easy, and this is the way you talk, and then it'll generate a bad habit. And imagine if she had read the whole book. No. And also, I want to say, if this book is not good enough for my daughter, I feel so bad that there are so many students reading it. I recently saw a couple of posts of authors that write easy readers. These two authors were non-native Spanish speakers, but what I liked was that they say, there were a number of native speakers, or there was this native speaker who reviewed the book before publishing. Because you can write the same idea, and it can be comprehensible, and it can be easy, and it can be correct, and it can be conversational. I've written articles, and I've worked in a lot of stories in different media, in English and in Spanish. But when I write in English, do you think I ask someone to review what I wrote? A native English speaker? Of course I do. You bet I do. So I think that there is a big need to give more credit to the people that know the language the best, which are Spanish native speakers. I'm definitely not the first person to bring this up. I'm definitely not the first person to notice. But I think that it's very important that we discuss these. And if I wouldn't let my daughter read those books, why should thousands of students read them? This presentation has inspired me to do some things that I haven't done. One of them is to always acknowledge and give credit to the people that review my books before publishing. Some of my books have an acknowledgement page and others don't, but from now on, all of my books will have one. Because even if I'm a native Spanish speaker, I do have other Spanish speakers reading it. I have Spanish teachers reading it. I have always, since I took over my books, I always have a professional proofreader who is a Spanish native speaker, you know? So I think it's important that other authors, especially if they speak Spanish as a second language, especially that they have like a team like I have to proofread their book, so the students are learning what they need to learn, not some, weird, bizarre phrases. Also, I've been inspired to use these idiomatic expressions and make posts in social media. Something like this, something that explains what we use and what things mean, and I'm gonna post them once a week, so feel free to use them if you want them. Check them out to refresh your Spanish, to teach, or just for fun. You can follow me at Veromundo FB on Facebook or veromundo.store on Instagram. If you're interested in my books, you can get them at your favorite online store, or you can check them out at veromundo.store. Thanks for watching.
Quiero hablar bien el español.